Welcome to day 26 of the journey. Today, my verses were Exodus 2:11 through 3:22. And this passage of scripture has always kind of stood out for me, and so that was what I wanted to talk about. And it's in scripture, it's where Moses has grown up and he's lived his life in the palace with Pharaoh, and he's gone out and he's looking around at the Hebrews. And he comes across an Egyptian beating a Hebrew and a Hebrew slave. And in his moment, he rashly steps in and kills the Egyptian. But what really stuck out to me in this scripture is he stopped and looked around before he acted. So he made the decision consciously to do this. And because of what happens next, I kind of wonder if he really took the time to think what he was going to do, or if he just went ahead and did it anyway. Because he goes out the next day, and I almost wonder if he thought that the Hebrews would look at him differently. But instead, they say, "Who are you? Are you our judge?" And it doesn't turn out well for him. He ends up having to run away. He takes off. He's on the run. Pharaoh's trying to kill him, and he becomes a stranger in a strange land. Years pass, and he gets married. He has his own life. He probably thinks that everybody in Egypt has forgotten about him. And while that may be the case, God didn't forget about him. God knew exactly where Moses was through everything. And he shows up to Moses in a way that is so cool, because he shows up to Moses in a bush that's on fire. And in the desert, a fire is bad enough, but then you see a fire that's not going out. And so Moses was immediately intrigued, and he had to get closer. And so God knew exactly how to pull Moses in so that he could bring him to the place where he could speak to him and use him to go back to Egypt, where he had fled, and be the mouthpiece that he could use to bring his people out of Egypt. And it's so cool how God uses us when we think he doesn't even see us. We think we're completely invisible. God is always right there. So in Exodus, that's what's going on. But also in our passage today in Psalms, the first verse, the psalmist says, my God, why have you abandoned me?" And I thought that was really neat that those were both today, because that's probably how Moses felt more than once in his years of exile. And I know we all feel that way sometimes. We feel like God has abandoned us. But even in our times where we feel like we're so far away from God, we're removed, he knows exactly where we are. And he will use a tool, like he used a bush with Moses. He will use something he knows that will catch our attention and catch our eye and bring us back to him so that he can use us to further his kingdom. I pray that you have a wonderful day today. Love you guys.